I'll demonstrate why constructing a personal energy setup is simple enough for literally anyone to master. It boils down to connecting just 3 fundamental parts. Within moments, you will see exactly how painless this process is. We are assembling a compact unit today that fits perfectly for campers, off-road builds, or even a tiny shed to run basic gear. Once you grasp the mechanics of a miniature rig, expanding to a massive home array becomes intuitive because the core logic never changes. You simply multiply the pieces to grow. The primary trio includes solar collectors, which obviously harvest energy from daylight. You might assume a creator filming a renewable energy guide would wait for clear skies instead of these gray clouds, but we work with what we have. Up next is our storage unit or battery bank. One could claim these cells represent the vital pulse of any off-grid network. When using your devices via sun power, the energy actually flows from the storage. The panels exist strictly to keep those reservoirs topped off. They achieve this using a clever device called a charge regulator. Panels generate fluctuating amounts of current as weather shifts during the afternoon. This regulator captures that erratic input and converts it into a stable, precise voltage required for safe charging. It permits the flow volume to vary, that is the amperage, while maintaining a steady pressure. To phrase it more clearly, the regulator cleans up the raw energy so it treats your battery better. This prevents hardware destruction. Your gear requires refined current, and this box delivers exactly that. Linking these requires a couple of cables, but just a few. We initiate by attaching the storage to the regulator. Incidentally, if you lack a flat deck trailer, you are missing out on a fantastic mobile workbench. Identifying where the wires go is foolproof because manufacturers printed a helpful icon right on the casing. Wasn't that thoughtful? Align the positive and negative leads. Red goes here, black goes there. These lithium iron phosphate units are the modern standard for many enthusiasts because they offer massive advantages. They feature sturdy bolt terminals. Slide a circular lug onto your wire end. Employ your preferred stripping tool. I use this high-end crimper that is surprisingly affordable. It produces a rock-solid connection that looks professional, if I do say so. I already prepared a red lead with its connector, if you haven't deduced it. We run negative from the cell to the negative port marked by the icon, then positive to the corresponding side. However, I strongly advise installing a circuit protector between your storage and the rest. I prefer these direct terminal fuses. It mounts on the post and provides a fresh attachment point, while handling cells ensure no conductive tools bridge these two poles. Why? Because catastrophic results follow such contact. It is the real-world version of a do not press button. Bridging those terminals is exactly like hitting that forbidden switch. Now we attach the red lead to the storage post, which is now the fuse terminal. On the opposite end, we strip the insulation for the regulator port I bought this automatic stripper recently. I am still uncertain if my technique is perfect, but it gets the job done. Then we slide the positive battery cable into the designated slot. After backing out the screw, insert and tighten it down. Simple as that. Then take the black cable and secure our neat crimp job to the negative port naturally, while attaching any conductor to a cell. Stay aware of where the dangling end resides, particularly near the other terminal. If they touch or hit a common metal surface, chaos ensues. Just keep it tucked somewhere secure like I just did. That was actually sloppy of me. I nearly let it drop toward the metal. We will keep a firm grip on this. Ensure these are extremely tight. A common error involves swinging a wrench and hitting the opposing bolt. Bad things happen. Avoid it. Just avoid it. Now we insert the negative lead into the regulator. Look, it ignited. I must have wired it correctly. The screen indicates 13.2 volts. The indicator shows it recognizes the battery. This is a 12-volt unit, but that label is just nominal. Batteries usually sit higher than their rated voltage. That is standard behavior. This was nearly as effortless as using booster cables on a vehicle. You just match the polarities. Ideally, or rather, essentially, you need a kill switch between the storage and the regulator. For this demonstration, I will omit the switch. I want to maintain focus on the core components if a crisis occurs. And I must disconnect everything to save the planet. I have my pliers ready. I can just snip the line. We are nearly finished. Now we link the collector. I won't use that rigid one. I merely set it out for the aesthetic. We are producing a video, after all. I will move that aside. Instead, we are deploying this foldable 400 watt array because it is superior. It packs more punch. Did I mention how incredible a massive workbench is? A solar collector features 2 outputs, positive and negative, using specialized plugs called MIC4S. These male and female ends lock together. We won't connect them to each other, obviously. We plug them into our system using extension leads that have matching connectors. Why are they called MIC4S? It traces back to their invention. The creators wanted massive success. They were brainstorming in a boardroom, searching for a catchy name. Someone suggested, what about MC Hammer? He was a hit. Then another executive argued, but he was a fleeting star. We want longevity. They tried various combinations. Finally, they landed on Mic 4 because it sounded professional. You aren't believing this narrative, are you? Perhaps you have skepticism issues. Let's return to reality. The regulator has a tiny sun icon, so we know exactly where the panels go, since the regulator uses terminal blocks instead of plugs. We need an adapter with bare wire on one side. You can build or purchase these. You can buy individual plugs to crimp or get pre-made pigtails. Usually they come as a pair. You have the black side and the red side. If you had a short extension, you could cut it in half to get the bare leads needed. Now, if we take the outputs from the array, they are typically marked. This one is positive. We snap that into our adapter lead and into the positive port, the other goes to the negative slot. It is just polarity matching again. Now we link this black lead to the panel output to close the loop. Look. The indicator is active. The panel icon is glowing, meaning it is currently filling the battery. That is it. Task complete. If you wish to run a device, you attach it to the port with the light bulb symbol. You have positive and negative there, which can feed your cabin or whatever you are powering. It doesn't strictly have to go through the regulator. Effectively, that port just links back to the battery. You could go straight to the storage posts, preferably through a fuse and a toggle. It is also wise to have a disconnect on the panel lines. The beauty of these plugs is how fast they swap. They are like a quick snack. They click together in seconds. We will move the array in two. The sunlight, these only fit one way. You cannot reverse them accidentally. This is the foundation of solar. I have utilized these specific cells for nearly a year. I have a large bank of them in my primary system. The manufacturer sent this new 280 amp hour version, which is substantial, and it is a smart model. It features integrated wireless monitoring. I can check the status on my smartphone. It shows 42% remaining. It is pulling 64 watts on this overcast day. It estimates 54 hours for a full top off. The reason it takes so long is, well, I was going to blame the clouds, but the sun just appeared. Now, with direct rays, we are seeing 221 watts, dropping the time to 15 hours. It still takes time because this capacity is massive, not in physical size but in energy, compared to a standard lead-acid deep cycle. This is triple the power at likely the same weight or less. Imagine this in your fishing boat or camper. If you mounted a panel on your boat, think how far you could travel. It might annoy your spouse if you stay out all day. She is likely already frustrated because you skipped the chores to go fishing, but at least you stayed out longer. I love being able to monitor the health on my phone. If you are trolling, you can see exactly when you need to head back. I am keeping things basic today. I won't discuss inverters that create household AC power. When people study solar, they often get overwhelmed by data. The terminology feels like a foreign tongue. Volts, watts, combiners, it is a lot to process. When I started, I had mentors dumping info on me. I survived because I mastered these three core parts years ago. Knowing these three gave me the foundation for everything else. I'm unsure of the interest level here. This is usually a woods-based channel. I usually talk about saws, but solar changed everything for me. Energy independence is the ultimate tool for a modern woodsman. It lets me live in the forest and run this YouTube channel from the trees. If you want more, we can go deeper. One technical note. Check the label on your panel. Ensure the voltage doesn't exceed what your regulator can handle. Also, ensure the regulator's output doesn't overwhelm the battery's intake. In small rigs, it is rarely an issue. These figures are straightforward to locate. I will list the gear in the description. Now, I will stop before I start rambling about wire thickness. Every other aspect of solar is simple once you learn one piece at a time. For today, we stay simple with these three. Remember to like the video and support Kenzo Times. Energy is the currency of the wilderness, and you just learned how to print it. Keep building, keep exploring, and stay powered up.